Hello everyone, this is Helios Raven. I tell you how to do it, even if you don't care. And we're going to finish up the special rules for the Ork Hulk, which was the special critical hits roll that you get with the if you critically hit a Ork Hulk. And what it is on a roll of a 1 or a 2, the target high energy systems. Each critical hit using this option will reduce one of the following characteristics by 1 point. On a roll, you roll again, and on a 1 or a 2, you reduce the turret's value. On 3 or 4, you reduce the shield's value. And on a 5 and a 6, you reduce the lance strength, which is pretty nice for the enemy vessels. On a 3 or 4, it's target weapon clusters. Each critical hit using this option will reduce one of the following characteristics by 2 points, chosen by the player who inflicted the critical damage. It would either be their firepower of the batteries facing the direction the attack came from, the strength of a torpedo battery facing the direction the attack came from, or the strength of either one of the launch bays. So, it was actually pretty interesting on that front. And also, one thing that I forgot to mention is the torpedoes with reloading ordnance on the Hulk. If you roll doubles, this does not make the Hulk run out of ordnance. It just prevents them from. So if you roll doubles, all it is you roll doubles. It doesn't have any effect on the ordnance launch bays of the Space Hulk. So if you roll double tens or double 12s, or two sixes or 2 5s, you're fine. Or 2 4s, you're fine. You don't run out of ordnance stuff. You just can't fire your ordnance. You just can't reload your ordnance that turn. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. And on a 5 or a 6 on their critical hit chart, it's target thrusters assemblies. The Hulk must roll higher than the number of thruster damage criticals it has affected on a d6 in order to turn. So, if it takes three thruster damages, then you have to roll a 3 or higher on a d6 in order to turn. And note, you may not repair the damage from the critical hits, as I mentioned before. And so, with all that out of the way, we move on to the next thing that the Orks were given, which were Ork Roks. These are literally just asteroids with engines and guns placed on them. They had hit points of 8, speed 10, special turns, 1 shield, 5+ armor, and 1 turret. It had heavy guns batteries of range 15 centimeters at strength 4, with a firing arc all around. It had guns batteries at range 45 centimeters, 2d6 plus 6 all around, and torpedoes 30 range centimeter d6 all around, which may mean that these were pretty decent. They were great for long range combat as well as close range combat. And so if you plan to put in a Ork Hulk, you'd probably want to put a bunch of rocks around it to kind of protect it a little bit, because the Ork Hulk is going to take a lot of punishment. Also note that they have the following special rules, which is their movement is they move 10 centimeters forward in a straight line, no more, no less, and they may not use the burn retros or come to a new heading order. On the all-ahead full order, the rock may move an extra 2d6 centimeters in any direction at the end of their movement. So they move, then you do the all-ahead full roll, which is you roll 2d6 and then move them in any direction. If the all-ahead full roll equals or exceeds 10 centimeters, then the direction that the rock goes in for that move becomes the new direction that it goes in. If the speed is lower than 10 centimeters, it continues in the same direction. So, for example, if we're going straight forward up the field, we do a all-ahead full roll, and we do 10 centimeters, and we go left. Then all of a sudden, its new direction for the rest of its movement is left. Now, if we take the same scenario, we moved left 10 centimeters, then did all-ahead full, and then rolled only a 5, and we wanted to move forward, move up again, we'd move up 5 centimeters, but then the next turn we'd have to move left 10 centimeters is how it works. And it again, it does get its free turn like an ordinary ship with a 45-degree turn if it's within the gravity well of a planet or moon, they could place themselves in a stationary or low orbit. They do not reduce their movement when they are crippled or they move through blast markers. On critical hits, they do not suffer critical hits. Instead, they don't suffer the effects of critical hits. Instead, each critical hit inflicted inflicts a +1 damage, inflicts an extra damage point to their structure. And on critical damage, when they're reduced to 0, it breaks up. You do not roll on the catastrophic damage table. Instead, you just replace the rock with 4 blast markers. And so those were the Roks. They were pretty neat. They're great defenses against your ships, especially ships that you feel are going to attract a lot of attention. You want some extra weaponry on them. Block lines of sight from ships ramming and stuff like that from it. So that was basically those. And after that, they added a couple of new ships, but we'll get to those later. We're going to first talk about now the Third Armada War Ork Wog Fleet. This is a special thing that they added where you could have up to 101 warlord per 500 points, and you had to assign it to a ship, and if the fleet is worth 500 points or more, it must include at least 1 warlord. And they could purchase extra rerolls up to 2, and it doubles their boarding value. Basically got all the same things, and instead what it was is you may include up to once you got a Space Hulk. You could have an Ork Space Hulk in your fleet for every 1,500 points that your army was. And there were a bunch of special battleships and battle cruisers, and there were 4 named cruisers, and at any given time you may not have any more than 1 of each ship. So they were basically specifically named cruisers, and if you had these cruisers, you could only have 1 of each of them. You couldn't have like 3 of the Slam Blasta, which we're going to talk about later, or 2 of the Death Dealer. You could only have 1 of each. You were still restricted. Let's see. You could have for every 2 cruisers, including in your fleet, you may pick up 1 vessel from these particular battle cruisers and such. So. And you could have a max of 6 cruisers, as many escorts as you want, and you can have as many number of Roks as you want. And they may also be purchased with points for planetary defenses, and if any ship was chosen, and if they choose to do so, let's see. All cruisers and terror ships can replace their POW batteries with torpedoes for free, and if you do give them torpedoes, you may give them +4... +5 per model, and you may give them boarding torpedoes for +5 at +5 points, and so can the Gorbag's Revenge can upgrade its torpedoes to boarding torpedoes if you wish for 5 points. And those are really the only major adjustments to the Ork fleet rules with using the Armageddon, the third Armageddon War WOG fleet list. I know a little bit of it is confusing. I just want to clarify all that now since we still had all this time on this video, and I don't want to end up just making another 3-minute video explaining this stuff, because I just think that's a little pointless to have another video if I could avoid having that. And that was basically it for the third Armageddon War fleet. That's all they really changed was you could have Space Hulk and you can have some special battle cruisers for every 2 cruisers you got. And there were some restrictions to those as well. And the added of the Ork Roks. And that was basically it. So until next time, this is Helios Raven signing off.